All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We have one addition under new business, D, resignation. And so with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Rita and Ryan Schreiber. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, recognitions.
Yeah, I'll take the opportunity, a little while later during my report, I'll be talking about this a little bit more in depth, but take the opportunity to recognize and thank the High Plains Educational Co-op for coming to our aid last week and providing us with a 504 professional learning opportunity that, like I said, I'll talk about a little bit more here in a little bit, that we're required to do by the Office of Civil Rights. So they're able to put that together and put it to bed, and I was able to send off the information today to the people in Kansas City, Missouri. So thank you, High Plains, for taking care of that for us.
All right, let's move to financials. Mike.
Okay, on page 2 of the warrants, kind of towards the top, High Plains Co-op, we made 2 payments to them, one for $137,910 and then $68,024. And then down below, Holcomb Recreation, tax flow through from the county, $302,126.32. And then further down, LED sign, message board, the new sign out there, $19,872. And then on page 3, train, replace the hot water pump there at the high school, $19,620. So total warrants this month are $702,083.19. And then on page 4, our revenues, expenditures, our cash balances are looking nice because we got the money from the county, and then the state gave us a little bit more than they usually do each month, also in this last month. And then on page 5, our fund expense summary, all of our balances where we expect them to be at this time in our, for this part of the year. And then we have our transfers and the high school and middle school reports. So if you have any questions.
If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financials at $702,083.19.
So moved. Second.
Ryan Ruda and Sean. It's been moved and seconded to approve the financials. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, administrative reports with no public patron concerns. Superintendent.
All right, I just referenced this a little while ago. About a little less than a month ago, received a message from OCR, Office of Civil Rights lawyer, saying that in 2009, the district had failed to comply with a OCR complaint and had some training with our staff. So we're talking 15 years later. So we were able to put together the training that needed to take place, all about the 504 plan, which is basically when there's physical ailments for a student. And once again, the High Plains Education Co-op sent 2 of the assistant directors up, and we had the entire staff sit in on this training, and we got it done on Friday. I had to turn into them the materials that they utilized, the credentials of our trainers, and then a sign-in sheet that showed who was in attendance and what they teach for us and all that kind of good stuff. I got it all sent off to the lawyer today, and I'm sure that she'll get around to it and let me know that everything is good to go. At least that's my hope. So we'll cross that puppy off. The second thing to talk to you about, the display board is all but finished. We've got some more training coming up in the next week or so. Julie and her crack staff are getting that training, so pretty soon it'll be fully functioning. But now it's installed, you'll see it out there, and we're starting to get different types of messaging up there. It's an important piece of asynchronous communication, just to let people know what types of things are coming up. Last week I attended the property and casualty insurance meeting that we had to attend in Wichita. The good news is we're only looking at a 3 to 5% increase for our property and casualty insurance, a little bit better than the 42% increase we had last year. It will come in at either $11,000 or $18,000 increase for next year. So, once again, we're kind of saddle broke to say thank you for that, but that's better than the 42% increase we suffered from last year. Final thing is, we're supposed to have had a cybersecurity meeting today. This is part of that whole PowerSchool data breach. But the person with whom I was supposed to speak was sick today, so they pushed that meeting till tomorrow. All I do know, speaking with fellow superintendents about it, we'll have a deductible of some sort for this. In my mind's eye, PowerSchool should be paying for this, and so the ones who have the data breach, and I will push that agenda as best I can. But once we pay our deductible, if there is anything that comes from this later on, we'll be fully covered. So as meetings along those lines take place, I'll be sure to keep you informed. So cybersecurity meeting will take place tomorrow, Mr. Jones.
All right, buildings and grounds,
Nothing further.
transportation, Sam,
I have nothing further.
food service, Monica,
Nothing further.
technology,
She's out there.
she's
just now.
playing with her computer. All right, we'll move to the principals, Mrs. Albright.
Last Thursday during PLCs, our teachers had the opportunity to meet with Linda Krabs, a representative from the iReady math curriculum. We've worked with her a couple different times this year. So this was just kind of an in-person follow-up to talk about our iReady diagnostic data. This was the second time that our students had taken it, so we were able to look at the growth data from the fall to the winter. And she was very impressed with our data, being a first year school implementation, and so it was very good to see that we have some growth occurring, because as I stated previously, it's a very hard curriculum not only to teach but for our students as well, because it takes a whole different approach than what we're used to in the past, especially down at our level. It's lots of word problems and the students talking about their learning and explaining things and exploring on their own. So Wiley was in the high performance and high growth placement within that quadrant, so that was very good. Our median percentage showing typical growth was sitting at 82%. So basically the average student's growth, if you take everybody's growth and line them up from lowest to highest, the average was 82%, so that's really great. Out of all of our students, so there's two different kinds of growth. You want your student to reach the typical growth, and then they also have a stretch growth percentage too, meaning that if they continue to grow rapidly, they'll reach their stretch goal, which is ultimately what you want. And so students who have met their typical growth goal and their stretch goal already get a brag tag, and so we were able to award 24 students with those brag tags this morning on the morning announcements, so they were all very excited about that. So we're hoping to get some more students. We have a lot of students that are right there on the bubble that they're sitting at. They've already met their typical growth goal, but they didn't quite get that stretch goal. So, but lots of kids were in the 90 percentile, so hopefully in the spring we'll continue to see more progress and be able to get some more of those. But very excited, hopefully that we continue to see things going in the right direction.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Tyne.
I am going to opt that we roll dice to see who gets to go first, because almost every month I want to talk about the same thing that Amy talks about.
I'll make a note for next month.
So she pretty much covered it. So our data looked a little bit different than that. We didn't have as many that had reached that stretch goal yet, but we did celebrate them also this morning. And they came down and got their picture taken. We only had 4. They were all in 5th grade. So I was pretty excited about that, just because I really pumped them up for being good leaders and working hard. So we're gonna look at some different things for Power Hour, how we're setting that up and really using that diagnostic data to drive what we're doing in that intervention time. And I think that with a lot of the tools that she was able to share, when you get a new curriculum, you not only have all of the books that you're looking at with all of the notes that you're looking at, but there's a whole collection of things that you can use online as well. So that takes a while for us to learn and be able to utilize. We also use some of our time on Friday then to begin planning what that looks like, so that we can not only help those kids that have some gaps, but also those kids that are right on track or even above grade level, so that we can continue to push them and challenge them. So Linda was able to share a lot of those things with us, and we look forward to being able to try them out and continue to get that growth that we're wanting. So.
All right, thank you. All right, Dr. Helton.
There should have been a remind message. I think I set it for 5:30 tonight. Asking our 6th grade families to bring their chargers on Wednesday. We're going to pilot with 6th grade having a Chromebook cart system going into the next year for all 3 grade levels, but this year will just be 6th grade. Having lots of general disrepair on the Chromebooks. A lot of them, very few of them are intentional, but families are being charged for that. And we don't have a lot of homework at the middle school, just because of how much time kids have to miss for activities and things of that nature. So we're developing a system where kids can check them out if they need to, but we are asking that our 6th grade families have the chargers back by this Wednesday, and we'll start the system next week, just trying to help families and meet their needs the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. All right, Jerry Johnson.
Instead of myself talking about FastBridge data, I invited Rachel Davis in to present our winter FastBridge data report. Julie, it's not working. I said I was going to call for help and cry. This is me crying. Rachel Davis has done a really good job this year. We brought her on to do Tier 2 interventions. The Tier 2 interventions that she's been doing with our students have really done a really good job. We've really closed the gap on a lot of the stuff we're doing, and I'll quit talking because she knows way more about it. She's created the report. We shared the report with our staff who got really excited. Actually, we shared the report with our BLT, then we shared it with our staff, and we just shared it with our students last week. And so everybody's kind of on board with where we're at with our FastBridge.
Okay, perfect. So at the high school, we do FastBridge for reading and math. This is going to pertain to our reading section because that's kind of where I'm at and that's what I love. I will try to be quick, but I am also a stats person, so I do really enjoy this. Okay, so for our fall to winter benchmark, we're broken down by grade. Our seniors do not test, so there's not data for them. I didn't forget them, they just don't have to test. So all of our freshmen had to take both fall and winter, and 47% of our freshmen have hit benchmark already. Of our sophomores, only 28 of our 55 students had to take both fall and winter, and 31 of those 55 have hit benchmark. So the way that works is if a student can hit their benchmark goal twice, they are no longer required to test. So you'll see as we go up here in grade, there are fewer students testing, but I'm still counting total benchmark across the grade. So that's how we have 31 of 55 and only 28 had to take it twice this year. And then for our junior class, they're at 72%. So our goal is for 80% of our students in each grade to hit benchmark. We have already done that in one section of the test. That's our auto reading. which is more kind of decoding, spelling, phonics. Our kids are doing great. They're at 80, 85, 84% for that. So what this is gonna look at is our A reading, which is our comprehension and fluency. So that's what we're really trying to hit hard so we can get that to 80% as well. This is our growth for each grade. So our kids who aren't quite at benchmark, we want them to be growing and getting closer to that. So half of our freshmen show typical or aggressive growth. 77% of our sophomores and 41% of our juniors. I think the reason that looks a little different across the board for our juniors, they've already been doing this for 3 years. So a lot of our kids that are gonna hit benchmark already have. Some of our juniors who are still testing either fall into our lower categories, maybe in special ed or in intervention. And so that percentage looks lower, but those kids are still making growth. So that still is really exciting to see. I'm not gonna read these names to you. These are our top 10 in our freshman and sophomore class. But the reason I put names up there, for the freshmen, 6 of these 10 kids are pull-out interventions, which I'll talk about in a second, and 5 of our sophomores are. So what that means is we have kids all across the board who are growing. Any student from our general ed, they're tier 1, they're straight A students, all the way to our special ed students who have IEPs, 504s, have pull-outs in all of their classes. It's almost half and half for the kids that are showing the most growth. So I think that means what we're doing is working. We're being intentional about things like vocabulary in every class, and then our pull-out students are getting direct one-on-one in what their deficiencies are. So of our top 10, 6 of the freshmen are pull-out interventions, 5 of the sophomores, and for our juniors, 5 of the 8 were pull-outs. So how do we help our non-benchmark kids? The high school does it a little different than the middle school does, and this is something new for the high school this year. We have 3 tiers, which is pretty standard across the board. Our tier 1, they just stay in their regular classes. They're not getting any special interventions. They have a reading enrichment, which is where they read a book and they do kind of group reports every couple weeks. Our tier 2 and our tier 3 are separate elective classes, and so those students were pulled out based off of their grades from fall and last spring and divided into these groups depending on what their deficiencies were and how big of a gap that they had. And so Ms. Smith and myself do those, and so that's a class every single day that we have with these kids that we're working on reading and how we can help them. And so these are how our intervention groups kind of broke down. For tier 2, there's our growth broken down. For tier 3, that's how it's broken down. Big jumps. So tier 2, 58% improved in A reading, 75% in auto. And then tier 3, 71% in A and 36% in auto. So just proving our intervention is working. These kids are making huge strides. This is my favorite slide. These 5 students started in a tier 2 intervention at the beginning of the year and had huge jumps in their FastBridge scores and were able to move into tier 1, so they are no longer in an intervention pullout. They just have regular classes. Combined with these 5 kids, we have like a 130-point jump in their FastBridge, which is huge. So we will continue to monitor these kids. They didn't just benchmark and we leave them on their own. We're still kind of keeping an eye on them, and that's kind of my thing. I check in with them, and when we test in spring, I will check their scores again to make sure that we're still on track. But these 5 students for sure showed enough growth that they don't have to do our intervention anymore. They get to just hop into tier 1 with everybody else. Anything you want to add?
Thank you. All right, let's move to unfinished business and the independent audit report, Kennedy and McKee.
Okay, as required by statute, each year, every district in the state of Kansas, and other public entity as well, have to have an internal audit take place, and we have a long-standing relationship with Kennedy McKee and Company. And so Chastity Farr is here to walk us through. I believe, once again, we have a very, very clean report. There's always a little bit of work here to do. But they come in and look at our business functions and just the books themselves for the last fiscal year. And Chastity's here to walk through the report for us.
All right, so the loose leaf letter that is in your report is the letter to governors. It just pretty much states that management is responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. We noted no new accounting policies, and we also noted no transactions entered into by the district that were against policies or regulations. On the second page, there is a journal entry that was made. Essentially, it's the way your software works. It pulls it out of cash for the liabilities that you're in for payroll. We like to show it that you still have the cash and you are due the liabilities.
And this happens every year.
Yes, yeah, and even with the new software change, it continued to be the same, so it'll keep coming up. We didn't note any disagreements with management. Everybody works really well with us. Any questions on the governance letter? So, all right, if you wanna go to page 1 of your independent auditor's report, it pretty much says that you get an adverse opinion because you don't use GAAP financial statements, but you get an unmodified opinion for the regulatory basis of accounting, which is what the school district actually uses, and it's a clean opinion then. Page 2 talks about the responsibilities for management. Management's responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statement in accordance with the municipal auditing guide. And then a little bit further down, it talks about the auditor's responsibilities. We exercise professional judgment, identify and assess the risk of material misstatement, obtain an understanding of internal control, and evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used. And then page 3 just states that we also have some supplementary information included. They're the schedules that we'll talk about later on, along with the schedule of federal awards, and that we also have comparative data from the year before. And then page 4 is just a little paragraph about the single audit, the schedule of federal awards. Since you guys spent more than $750,000 in federal funding, we have to look at a program a little closer. Any question on that? Awesome. All right, page 5 is just kind of an overall snapshot, what you guys what you guys started with in cash at the beginning of the year, what you receipted in, what you spent out of each fund, and then your payables. I did note that the cash balance did go down about $250,000. That's not unusual, and also the federal funding is in quite a bit of a deficit right now. They're allowed to be, because you guys spend the money down and then you ask for reimbursement. Page 6 just kind of shows where the district's cash was at year end. Page 7 starts the summary of significant accounting policies. Just kind of states, instead of GAAP financials, the district uses regulatory basis of accounting, and it just kind of outlines how that works. Page 8 talks about the budget, and page 9, the compliance with Kansas statutes. There is a statute that says the funds can't be negative cash, but then there's another statute that says if it's federal funding or state funding, it's allowed to be, because you guys have to spend the money before you can ask for the money. Note C talks about the deposits for cash. At year end, the carrying amount of deposits the district had was just a little over $7 million. The bank balance was almost $8 million, and all of it was fully secured by either FDIC coverage or securities held in the district's name. Note D is your long-term debt. Payments were made on time, no issue there. Note E is capital projects. The only one that we had noted as of year end, June 30, 2024, was the restroom and concessions building, which I think it's been finished by now, but as of year end, it was still outstanding. Note F talks about the keepers, and page 12, note G talks about employee benefits and compensated absences. Note H is your interfund transfers. The district is required to receipt money into the general fund and supplemental general fund and then transfer to the funds which are going to be using the money. Note I is just about risk management, that you guys have insurance coverage, and note J is about, you guys have federal and state funding, and if they were to come back and say, oh, you didn't use the money for appropriately, you'd be liable to pay back the money. And note K, we didn't know anything after the financial statement date that would affect the current year financial statements. Any questions on the notes? Awesome. All right, page 15 is just kind of a snapshot of your budget. We didn't know any issues with budgetary authority being overspent, so that's what we like to see. Page 16 is your general fund. I did want to note on that the expenditures from the prior year did go up about $400,000 more, but your state funding also went up about $400,000 more, so that's to be expected then. Supplemental general fund, there really wasn't much of a change in any of that, kind of ended cash the same as the prior year. Bilingual education, the supplemental general fund is required by statute to transfer into bilingual education, and the transfer that was made was well over the requirement, but then the funds were spent down. Virtual education, nothing major there, just a little bit of a less transfer, still have a nice cash balance in that one. Your capital outlay fund, receipts didn't change too much besides the transfer from general. And then you guys did approve the well for about $54,000, the key fob system for about $66,000, and then the concession stand for the $932,000 is in that facilities acquisition and constructions line item. That's just a little over $1 million. Driver training, nothing really changed from year to year on that one. Food service, the only thing different on that to note is the transfer from supplemental general this year instead of the general fund, and then cash did go down some. Professional development, pretty much, there was a transfer from supplemental general in the prior year. That one kind of goes back and forth. One year there is, one year there's not. Parents as teachers, no major changes there either. Special education, the transfer from general fund decreased quite a bit, but that $586,000 is the minimum amount that was required to be transferred from the general fund to the special education fund. Right. Career and post-secondary education, no major changes on that one. At risk, cash went down a little bit, but not too bad, or not. And then at risk K through 12. Those transfers changed, but those, again, supplemental general fund is required to transfer from supplemental general to at-risk, and those were the minimum required amounts. Capers, not much there, money goes in, money goes out. And then the next two schedules are the recreations. The district collects taxes and then remits them to the rec commission. And then your non-budgeted special purpose funds, the only one that really to make note on is your federal grants. There was about $693,000 in your instruction expense. You guys got a whole bunch of new curriculum items on that. Alright. Your bond and interest fund, it looks pretty good. Your cash balance has where you can almost make about 3 years worth of debt payments on that, so that's always a good thing to know. District activity funds, going through those is kids' money, and we noted no issues. The same with the agency funds. Everything looked really clean. Any questions on the schedules? Awesome. And then there's a few more letters towards the back after the appendices, since you guys had scheduled federal awards and expenditures of excess of $750,000. We had to do a little bit more for uniform guidance. The report on internal control just pretty much lays out what deficiencies could be possible, and we didn't know any deficiencies. It also states though that that does not mean that there weren't any that we didn't find. The next letter is about the auditor's report on compliance for each major program we tested on. And it was a clean opinion on those. We didn't know any issues. We did the COVID money, so it was all clean. Page 43 is your schedule of federal awards. Just notes how much cash was at the beginning of the year, how much you guys received, and how much was actually expended for each federal program. Page 44 just talks about the basis of the presentation. It's all in conformity with uniform guidance. And page 45 just states that there was no instances of material misstatement, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses either. And then at the back is just the rec commission's report. Any questions?
This should be the final year for the single audit, should it not?
Yeah,
I would think so.
unless you guys get like some FEMA money or something.
Which I've not,
Yeah.
to the $750,000.
No, not usually, no.
Right.
But no, all your guys' COVID money was spent down, so,
Okay.
yeah, it should be good.
And I'd like to, this is no small thing that occurs, you know, Chastity and her team come in and they spend a week with us. And it's pretty thorough, you know, they pull up all sorts of stuff and look at it. I think it's kudos to Mike and Robin and the other people in the central office who did a really nice job of having good you know, practices and policies, and it's a nice clean audit, so.
So did we make the final payment on the new concession stand in January?
Oh, previous to that.
So on the concession stand, no, it's as of 6/30.
Oh.
So,
Fiscal year.
yes, it could be that it,
31, sorry.
yes.
Yeah.
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 All right, thanks for having us. I did have new engagement letters that I dropped off with Robin that you guys are more than welcome to look over. And if you'd like to have us back, we'd love to come back.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
A motion to accept this.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve and accept the report?
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Curtis. Moved and seconded to
Thank you, Chastity.
approve and accept, in the exception of the report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, fourth grade student presentation.
All righty, about every other month or so, we like to have a student presentation before the board. And this month, it's Holcomb Elementary's turn. So Ms. Tyne, if you'll do the introductions, please. Tell us what we're seeing.
Okay, well, we have some fourth grade students here, and we have Mrs. Lucky. They have been working on, well, actually, I think they're gonna tell you a little bit about what they've been learning, and they're gonna have a little demonstration for you, so I won't blow any of that. But Mrs. Lucky, did you have anything to say before they get started, or do we wanna start with the kids?
I'll let the kids do most of the talking, but I do want to introduce these wonderful students that have volunteered to do this. I got Chase Sneed, Chase Sneed, David Tonche, and Anelli Ramos, right? Okay, who's first? Kate, you're gonna have to take turns on the microphone so they can hear you, okay?
In science class, we completed a unit called Birth of Rocks. At the same time, we also completed a unit called Geology, the changing earth in our English learning language arts class. We learned a lot about a lot of features that our earth has and how forests are constantly changing the earth.
Some of the topics we studied were the Earth's layers, tectonic plates, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes, geysers, hot springs, the rock cycle, the 3 different types of rocks and how they form, as well as weathering and erosion.
We also learned about underwater features like seamounts, hydrothermal vents, and ocean trenches. In addition to all of that, we read 2 legendary myths that were used to describe how the Hawaiian Islands and Crater Lake in Oregon were formed in ancient times.
Okay, give us just a couple minutes to set up here. We'll try not to make too big of a mess. No promises though. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, right, and Nellie, you can go, here's your vinegar, here's your food coloring. She does need to say what she's gonna do. Oh, here, okay.
At the end of both units, we made model volcanoes and seams and were able to erupt them. We will now demonstrate how we did that. First, you pour a 1.5 cup of vinegar into the volcano.
Those enthusiasm in here.
It's really cool when it explodes.
Right. Give you $1 if you can hit the ceiling.
I don't know about that.
Comes out of Mike's pocket.
Did you get it? Okay, stop. How much do I need to have in this? Let's try my right hand. Okay, a little bit, actually. Is that half a cup? Okay.
Don't pour it on yourself.
1 quart, that was.
Pretty good, Randy.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
must have been some leftovers from last time. Okay, go ahead, Chase. Early.
Then you pour in about 3 tablespoons of dish soap, some red food coloring, and then stir everything together.
Spin your volcanoes out. Just put some swords in there. You need your glasses on?
He needs those glasses.
Yeah, do another good squirt. We want it really focused. There you go.
We're going for good measures.
Yep.
Mrs. Kind with those spikes.
No, she's scooting away as we do this.
All right.
All right, David, what are you doing?
The last thing you do is start spooning the baking soda into your volcano. As you do this, a chemical reaction should occur and your volcano will erupt.
What's the name of this volcano?
The name? I don't know. Did you guys name your volcano? No, they didn't name it. We'll call it Mount Vesuvius.
Sherlock.
There you go.
Yeah, where's your
Happens on
baking soda?
Sherlock.
Kind of got some water in there, I guess. Okay, here we go. Let's go into it. A little bit more in.
You can do it, David.
Yeah, David's gonna be good at this. I have a trick if it doesn't explode that I used to. Oh, it's already going. All right, some more in there.
Put some dry ice over
Oh,
there.
here's my trick. William, you better, there it goes. I'm the earthquake. Oh, a little bit more in there? Yeah, a little bit more in.
Yeah, just pour it in now.
A little bit more. Yeah, keep going. Start pouring that down. It's a really small opening, so that makes a little.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what people like.
Did the trick.
I'm not very powerful today.
More vinegar.
I stay with a little more vinegar in
Yeah,
there.
get it.
Yeah, let's try this. Let's make this thing go. Oh, whoa, there we go. Now we got it going.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's only, what?
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And there's some cookies over here if you'd like some.
Cookies.
Yeah, that's why I brought the tablecloth. Normally do this outside.
You can get brother, sister cookies. Here, let me have that, Dave.
Yep.
All right, thanks for having us.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Lepke.
All right, let's move to the exciting stuff. KASB policy summary.
All righty, this is the second reading of the policy, recommended policy updates from KASB. If you recall, most of these are just getting in line with adjusted federal and state adjustments, grammatical cleanup, and just, you know, just to streamline some things. Two of these of merit to mention to you: DE, fraud prevention and investigation, also provides protections for whistleblowers who report any substantial misconduct. And then ICA just reiterates the point that surveys that are non-academic in nature are made available for review by the parents and guardians and families. But just have to be made available for people to read them. So I do recommend the board approve the second reading of the KSB proposed policy adjustments and accept them as presented.
So moved. Second.
Curtis and Ryan Ruda. It's been moved and seconded to approve the second reading of the KASB proposed policy adjustments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, special meeting.
All righty, we're to the point now, we're in the process of creating the 5-year strategic plan for the district, to the point of needing to set a special board meeting. We put out the survey, we received 242 surveys back from the community and the greater educational community. We've had 2 different community focus groups, where we had 27 people and then 21 people show up and work through the various responses that would come back to us from the surveys. Dr. Steve Carlin has facilitated this work through KASB consultant, former superintendent at Garden City. It's boiled down into 4 areas of concern: facilities and resources, student success, staff, and communication culture community. The next step along this journey is a special board meeting to be held 2 Mondays from now at 6 o'clock with the school board and the administrative staff. We need to have 12 people at this event. We'll have 4 groups of 3 focusing on all these 4 different areas. For a couple hours, Steve will follow a process where we work it. Ultimately, in the March board meeting or the April board meeting, after the work that takes place between now and then, a formalized strategic plan will be presented to the board for final action. But the next step along this path is for us to have a special board meeting Monday, February 24th at 6 o'clock. So that's what I'm requesting to take place. Mr. Jones?
Okay.
So moved. Second.
Ryan Ruda and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to have a special board meeting on the strategic plan, be in the boardroom at 6 p.m. on Monday, Friday the 24th.
No, Monday.
24th.
Yeah, Monday, February 24th.
What did I say?
Friday.
I meant Monday. Monday, the 24th of February at 6 o'clock.
And Robin's gonna pass around a menu for you to make a choice.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's move to new business and curriculum adoption.
Alrighty, just throughout the year, we have a rotation of curriculum that needs adopted. It's this year's turn for the business curriculum at the high school. We have a really thorough process in place where the teachers, whomever's up for adoption, takes a look at, they assess the content, the teacher support, the resources, the student support, resources, the assessments, the supplementals, the support, any professional learning. Casa Sullivan was up for this time around, and she's brought forth the recommendation for the board to adopt the Cengage Century 21 Accounting multi-column journal 11th edition. She's currently using the 10th edition, so it's just the very next edition. It's a minimal purchase I don't need this to be a part of the motion, but I just recommend the BOE approve the proposed curriculum adoption as presented.
Have we ever had a teacher say, no, I'm good with what we got"?
Actually, we have, yeah,
Yeah?
yeah. Then I don't bring that to you. It puts on the list to go 7 years later.
All right.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Ryan Schreiber. It's been moved and second to approve the proposed curriculum adoption as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Gee. We're gonna go into executive session first and then come out, or?
For the resignation,
Yeah, okay.
but we need donation first.
All right, so,
Or you can do it that way, I don't care. You can do it.
no, I mean, I just, trying to keep it clean. Oh, there it is. My bad. Donation.
Yeah, we continue to have great support from the community. This month, Brookover Land Enterprises made a $1,000 donation to be used at both the elementary schools. I incorrectly told you just for one of the elementary schools. It's correctly to be used at WES and HES. I recommend the board accepts the donation to the district as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan, Ruda, and Jill. Been moved and seconded to accept the donation to the district as presented.
You could either do the resignation now or go to executive session. Doesn't matter to me, whichever way you want to do it.
How do you want to do it?
Let's do the resignation.
Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're gonna skip executive session real quick and go to new business D, the resignation.
We received a resignation today from, I'll just read it to you. I hereby resign my position as sixth grade social studies teacher effective the end of the 24-25 school year. Thank you, Jeremy Bernhardt Purdy. I recommend you accept the resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Schreibvogel and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to approve the resignation of Jeremy Purdy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we'll go into executive session for 20 minutes.
15.
15 minutes. All right, let's go in for 15 minutes at 7 o'clock.
So moved.
Well, that clock is slow. It's 48.
Okay.
Okay. Who is it? Who made the motion?
Could be done by.
Yeah, we'd be done by 7.
Ryan Ruda
Second.
and Jill. Moved and seconded to go into executive session at 7 o'clock for 15 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You need some quadfocals.
Did you just want to go right in? What do they say? Paint it black. But, all right, we're back in session. I need a motion to hire Emma Sapien as a Holcomb Middle School ESL para.
So moved.
Second.
Trivogel and Ruda. It's been moved and seconded to hire Emma. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to hire Bella Ivera as a high school ESL para.
So moved. Second.
Ruda and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to hire Bella. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to approve the supplementals as presented.
So moved.
Trivogel and Jill. Been moved and seconded to hire the supplementals. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I need a motion to extend all 4 principals' contracts by 1 year with a 3% pay increase for the 25-26 contract.
So moved.
Ryan Ruda and Jill. Moved and seconded to extend and give 3% raise to principals for the 25-26 contract. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That is all I have, Mr. Jones.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Curtis and Jill. Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?